Have you ever walked through an empty airport at 3 a.m. or wandered the halls of your old high school long after the students have left? That eerie, almost surreal feeling you get, like you've stepped into a world that's both familiar and alien. That's what we call a liminal space. These are the in-between places, the thresholds where one chapter of life ends and another begins. But what if I told you these spaces aren't just physical? What if they're mirrors reflecting the deepest corners of our psyche? Liminal spaces are more than just empty rooms or forgotten corridors. They're metaphors for the transitions we all face, moments of uncertainty, growth, and transformation. They force us to confront questions we often avoid. Who are we when no one is watching? What happens when the structures we rely on, our jobs, relationships, even our sense of self, begin to crumble? When you stare into the abyss stares back at you. Nietzsche's words remind us that liminal spaces aren't just physical, they're existential. They're the abyss we must face to truly understand ourselves. So, let's step into the void together and explore the haunting beauty of liminality. To understand liminal spaces, we need to go back to the early 20th century, to the work of anthropologist Arnold van Gennep. He coined the term liminality to describe the middle stage of a rite of passage, a moment when you're no longer who you were, but not yet who you'll become. It's a state of pure potential, but also profound vulnerability. Think of it like this. When a caterpillar enters its cocoon, it doesn't just magically become a butterfly. It dissolves into a formless goo, a state of chaos where its old identity is obliterated. Liminal spaces are like that cocoon. They're where we're forced to confront the chaos within us. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Carl Jung understood this well. He believed that liminality is where we confront our shadow, the parts of ourselves we've repressed or ignored. It's uncomfortable, even terrifying, but it's also where true growth happens. Today we experience liminality in less dramatic ways, waiting for a train that never comes, staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., or scrolling through social media in a daze. These moments may seem mundane, but they're opportunities to pause, reflect, and ask, what am I becoming? Art has always been fascinated by liminal spaces, and few have captured their haunting beauty better than Radiohead. Take their song In Limbo from the album Kid A. The lyrics, "You're living in a fantasy world." These lyrics echo the disorientation of being caught between realities. The music itself feels like a liminal space, disjointed, ethereal, and eerily beautiful. It's as if the band is inviting us to step into the void and confront the chaos within ourselves. Radiohead's music often explores themes of alienation, technology, and existential dread, all of which are deeply tied to the concept of liminality. In Everything in Its Right Place, the repetition of "Yesterday I woke up sucking a lemon" feels like a mantra for the disorienting sour taste of being stuck in transition. It's a sonic representation of that in-between state where nothing feels quite right, yet everything is as it should be. I'm lost at sea, don't bother me. Tom York's lyrics often feel like they're written from the perspective of someone wandering through a liminal space, lost but acutely aware of their surroundings. It's this tension between chaos and clarity that makes Radiohead's music so compelling. They don't just describe liminality, they make you feel it. Then there's David Lynch, the master of the uncanny. In Twin Peaks, the Red Room is a liminal space where time bends, identities blur, and reality itself seems to unravel. It's a place where the characters and the audience are forced to confront their deepest fears and desires. Lynch's work reminds us that liminal spaces aren't just physical, they're psychological. They're the places where our inner and outer worlds collide, where the boundaries between dream and reality dissolve. And then there's the back rooms, a modern internet phenomenon that's become the ultimate symbol of liminality. It's a place where the rules of reality don't apply, where you're trapped in a maze of your own making. But isn't that what life feels like sometimes? Let's return to Nietzsche and his concept of the abyss. He believed that to truly understand ourselves, we must confront the void, the emptiness at the heart of existence. Liminal spaces are like that abyss. They force us to stare into the unknown and ask, what lies beyond? In The Matrix, Neo's choice to take the red pill is a liminal moment. It's the point of no return, where he steps out of the comfort of illusion and into the harsh light of reality. But as Nietzsche would say, one must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. Liminal spaces are where we dance with chaos. They're where we shed our old selves and embrace the uncertainty of becoming. It's not easy, it's messy, painful, and often terrifying, but it's also where we find our true selves. So the next time you find yourself in a liminal space, whether it's an empty subway station or the quiet hours before dawn, don't rush to fill the void. Sit with it. Listen to what it has to say, because in the silence you might just hear the music. Liminal spaces have become a cultural phenomenon, popping up in memes, videos, and even video games. But why are we so drawn to these images? What is it about an empty parking lot or a dimly lit hallway that captures our imagination? Perhaps it's because they reflect something deeply human, a longing for meaning in the midst of chaos, a desire to make sense of the in-between. Art has always been fascinated by liminal spaces, and few films capture their existential weight better than Blade Runner 2049. The film's protagonist Kay exists in a liminal state, caught between being a replicant and something more. The vast desolate landscapes he traverses, abandoned cities, irradiated wastelands, and sterile interiors are physical manifestations of his internal struggle. These spaces are thresholds, places where identity dissolves and new possibilities emerge. When Kay stands in the ruins of Las Vegas, surrounded by the remnants of a forgotten world, he confronts the emptiness of his own existence. It's a powerful metaphor for the liminal spaces we all inhabit, where the familiar becomes alien and the safe becomes dangerous. Hell is other people. But liminal spaces also remind us that hell can be ourselves. When we're alone in these in-between places, we're forced to confront our own thoughts, fears, and desires, and that can be both terrifying and liberating. In Annihilation, Alex Garland uses the shimmer, a mysterious, ever-expanding zone, as a liminal space to explore the fragility of the human psyche. The shimmer is a place where the rules of biology and physics no longer apply, where life mutates and transforms in unpredictable ways. As the characters venture deeper into the shimmer, they confront their own fears and insecurities, their identities unraveling like the DNA of the creatures around them. It's a stark reminder that liminal spaces aren't just external, they're internal too. In a world that's constantly moving, liminal spaces offer us a moment of stillness. They're a reminder that it's okay to pause, to reflect, to just be. And in that stillness, we might just find the clarity we've been searching for. The internet has become a breeding ground for liminal spaces, with forums like Reddit and TikTok filled with eerie images and stories that evoke a sense of unease and wonder. These digital liminal spaces allow us to explore our fears and fantasies in a safe, controlled environment, but they also remind us of the fragility of our own reality. Liminal spaces are where we confront the chaos within ourselves. They're where we shed our old identities and begin the painful, beautiful process of becoming something new. And while these spaces can be unsettling, they're also full of potential. They're where we find the courage to step into the unknown and embrace the uncertainty of the in-between. Liminal spaces are more than just physical places. They're states of mind. They're the moments when we stand on the threshold between who we were and who we're becoming. And while they can be unsettling, they're also full of potential. They're where we confront the chaos within ourselves and find the courage to step into the unknown. So, the next time you find yourself in a liminal space, don't be afraid to embrace it. Sit with the discomfort, listen to the silence, and remember, it's in these in-between moments that we often find our greatest insights, our deepest truths, and our most profound transformations. Become who you are. Because in the end, liminal spaces aren't just places we pass through. They're places where we become who we are. They're where we confront the chaos within ourselves and find the courage to step into the unknown. And while these spaces can be unsettling, they're also full of potential. They're where we find the courage to step into the unknown and embrace the uncertainty of the in-between. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of liminal spaces, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, the next time you find yourself in a liminal space, take a moment to pause, reflect, and embrace the beauty of the in-between.